गिर गया, Sukhoi वहाँ गिर गया. I mean, that is what they
Okay,
did.
so no
But
Indian fighter
nothing.
jets with people on board have been shot down. Okay, nothing. Now I don't know that what tomorrow is a different day. All right, let's not assume that this is over for a second. All right.
Just 1 second.
Yeah,
I'd
go
like
ahead.
to.
Go ahead. Air Marshal Kak wants to make an interjection. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, this point has been repeatedly raised in terms of a doubt and as to why the Pakistanis didn't react. I'd like to put before you and your co-hosts the question of what's called the SEED operation, suppression of enemy air defenses. No operation will happen from our side, from the Indian Air Force side, unless they guarantee that none of our aircraft will be picked up. That would be a prerequisite to what can be done. And you know what that means. You do jamming of the radars, systems which can catch up, whatever those systems are. And that explains as to why there has been the point raised by Sumit, very sound point, that why there has been no reaction. Second is also, I'm glad it is being raised because there is intelligence sharing between China and Pakistan, particularly in their air forces, because the JF-17 and other platforms are from China, and more will come to them from China in the years ahead, for which we have to be prepared. But despite that intelligence, they were not able to act because that entire air defense system and ability to track and identify a hostile threat, say from our side as they see it, has been completely, they've been blindfolded. They're blind, they can't see. So therefore, we have demonstrated that capability, our seed capability, our penetration capability, as you rightly have brought out, our drone capability. They by and large would be aware. If they're not aware
Okay,
themselves, the
I want to
Chinese
take
would
it a
be.
step further, okay, because as any person who serves as Air Marshal Kak has, knows that trying it out and drilling is one thing and actually doing it and being a proven war weapon. Now, proven war weapon is not just the capability of the munition system or the weapons platform. It means that your operatives who are remotely operating these platforms have the capability to actually conduct a stealth mission and hit targets accurately. So, whatever capability, this is not, we have not borrowed a couple of Frenchmen and a couple of Americans to come and do this for us. This has been done by our own personnel. So, you have a new species of a pilot, Air Marshal Kak, who have shown immense technical ability and finesse, however well they are aided by the technology that surrounds them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll take your leave.
Thank you, Air Marshal Kak. So, let me pick up that thought with Sumit. Sumit, we have just demonstrated to the people of this country that there is now a new generation of pilots who have just proven themselves. They are not the top guns of the old. They are aided by a lot of technology, but the technology is only as good as you use it. In the end, somebody is doing this operation. It's not a press a button and it happens. There are a lot of buttons you can press, but it doesn't do the operation from start to finish.
Rishabh, two important aspects here. The first thing is, look, when Israelis went and they decimated Iran a couple of days back when there was Israeli-Iran conflict was going on, F-35s went in, and after that F-35 became the uncrowned king because none of the Chinese given air defenses could stop or detect any F-35. They went in and decimated the air defenses of Iran. They came back. 100 odd planes went in there. So when you compare today an F-35 with a J-35, nobody talks about J-35 because even J-35, Chinese Air Force doesn't use because F-35 now is a proven warhouse. It's the best plane as far we know. Similarly, today, what our Indian Air Force has demonstrated, amidst all the Chinese air defense which they have, amidst all the Chinese air defense which they have got and not disclosed it, amidst all the Chinese surveillance and the AWACS they were helping them. And by the way, Pakistan claims they have 8 AWACS which are Swedish made and which were in the air and trying to look at our air bases and our things. Amidst all this firewall which they claim they had, our people went in, our stuff went in, our drones went in, our able pilots did it. They whacked the entire system and they came back. So now our capability is a similar scenario where F-35 became the best warhouse. Now whatever ammunition, whatever these drones we have used, they are the best and our men are the best because we could bypass Chinese air defense. We can bypass Pakistani intelligence, Chinese intelligence, and Pakistani AWACS, which are Swedish made.
I don't want to make sweeping statements, okay? Because Sumit, you understand, I'm more cautious on those fronts. But yes, we know that the United States of America has these banks of what are container hulls. Okay, they literally take your container ship, they put the container. And they put them up wherever they want. They're mobile because you can put them on the back of a truck, and inside each container is a unit that can control a UAV. Okay,
Yeah.
and the pilots who never leave the United States of America are operating airstrikes in Afghanistan. Okay, now we knew the Americans could do it. Okay, with their Predator drones and whatnot, right? Up until now, we did not know that India could do it. Now, whether this is Israeli technology, indigenous technology, American technology, I don't know. Okay, and I have the luxury of not knowing, so I am not feeling even the least bit concerned that some information might slip out from me that should not be in the public domain. So it's good I don't know. I don't want to know. Let me get Vicky into this conversation. Vicky, I think the subtlety of this should not be missed. We could have just made an announcement. We could have just shown a photograph. We've released the videos, and the videos are telling me wind speed, battery, they're telling me everything. We have decided that we wanted to be known that what capability we have, guys.
Yes, absolutely. See, in the run-up to this, in the run-up to Operation Sindoor, I mean, you must have noticed that there were so many fake news channels from Pakistan, claiming that we didn't have the capability, they would display their military might. I mean, we really did not retaliate on that front. But, usually when such an attack is carried out, I mean, nobody knows what exactly was coming. Everyone thought it would be airstrikes, some thought it was war. But this was, so sudden and precise that, it just took everyone by shock. Anyone opening the news sites or, watching the social media handles would have just thought, what on earth just happened? Okay, and even the reaction, from the US was also kind of, you could say that a little startled, seeing the capabilities, the complete secrecy which was maintained ahead of the operation, and releasing the videos was also a very, very important aspect to this. I mean, as we say that a picture speaks 1,000 words. I mean, so a video may be speaking, much more.
Because I have information. Anand, my colleague, is joining me. We're going to keep this imagery on our screens. Okay, we'll put all the information at the bottom of your screens because that will give you what facts you require. Because if you are in India, you need facts on the ground. What else is happening? So I've already told you that the PM has chaired a meeting of the Union Cabinet. No press conference is going to be held at all today, but all the union ministers have been briefed about what has taken place. I'm assuming in slightly greater detail than what has been publicly suggested or publicly revealed. Security meeting is now going to be held by the Prime Minister along with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Amit Shah, and others. So the security review has happened. The mock drills are going to continue. Anand, my colleague, is with us. So Anand, the mock drills are continuing. So can we figure out what is actually going on? What are these mock drills all about?
Yeah, Rishabh, look, just a few moments later, Prime Minister Narendra Modi first of all chaired the Cabinet Committee on Security, and then he also held a meeting of the Cabinet here at his residence where several of the Union Ministers were present. And if there in the meeting, we have been told that all the decisions and all the details of the precise attacks have been shared with all the ministers over there. And now even the mock drills are going on in several parts of the country to make citizens aware that what they need to do in case of counter attack from the Pakistan side and how they need to be safe.
Yeah.
So
Anand, do any of our colleagues have the details of what's going to happen? I don't want to be superficial about it. Where are these drills? What are these drills? Who's conducting them?
Yeah, Rishabh, look, if we talk about the mock drills, then several of the senior police officials and Home Guard Department and NDRF, several of the agencies have been roped in for conducting these mock drills, and they are briefing that what they need to do. Even the fire services have been roped in, that what needs to be done in case of fire during the wartime. So all these agencies are now on the ground, and they will be explaining to citizens that what they need to do during the time of war and what are the precautions that they need to take in that crucial time. So these are the details that will be shared with residents and with the citizens of the country, across the country, and clearly this massive mock drill is being taken up in several districts of the country and in several states. So clearly the government is not leaving any stone unturned to brief the citizens that what they need to do in case war takes place and how they need to remain safe in such situation. So clearly this is a step further after the attack that India carried out
so,
on the
Anand, what
launch
I'm going to request you is, you once you get off air, get on the phone line with our colleagues, and let's inform the people what these mock drills are, where they are, who's doing them, what is that is required, who is going to participate, who's, let's get the details out, because there's no point in discussing in generalizations. We don't know what an air drill is, air raid siren is going to sound like. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, if you hear a single piercing sound, okay, that is a continuous piercing sound, that's an air raid siren. If you hear a warbling note which comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes, that's the all clear. That's how it used to be in previous wars. Now, air raid sirens and all are important in modern warfare as well. We, as for 3 generations, have not had to worry about them. I am hoping we don't have to worry about them tomorrow. But like an airplane safety briefing, there is no harm in knowing, just in case. And let's hope the just in case never actually ends up happening. Okay, so I'm going to get my colleagues in from the ground. Let's get our assignment team to line these up. We've been discussing this since yesterday. Of course, dramatic developments have overtaken us since then. Now, Sumit, let's look on practical terms on what's happening in Pakistan. There's an emergency imposed in Punjab province, which is West Punjab, Pakistani Punjab province. In the national capital, Islamabad, all schools, colleges, educational institutions have been shut until further notice. Pakistani airspace, both to internal flights and flights coming to and from Pakistan, is shut. And there is a completely different environment here in India. Schools are open other than in certain areas in Jammu and Kashmir for obvious reasons. And other than the Bikaner, Chandigarh, Dharamsala, Amritsar, Leh and Srinagar airports, the Srinagar airport having been now put under the administration of the Indian Air Force, everything is running. So why do we need these drills?
Rishabhji, let me add to what you have been saying. First of all, let me give you some perspective to the viewers who are watching this. Drills will be conducted in 240 districts which are identified. Delhi is one, Ghaziabad is one because we have Indian Air Force here. So all the districts which are considered to be vulnerable, like mostly all the districts of Rajasthan, it will be conducted. Basically, students will be told, like yesterday in Mumbai, we were testing these sirens, we were testing them in Delhi as well. So what will happen in a drill, when the sirens go up, you are supposed to do a complete blackout of wherever you are, switch off the lights, put on the curtains, get hold your elderly near to you and go to the place which is considered hardened, where you usually go in the time of earthquake. You're supposed to have water bottles with you, a charged phone, some battery banks, possibly some emergency medicines, and may have a flashlight, that's a torch with you. So in case there's an eventuality, children will be taught how to do basic first aid. We must have these first aid kits and all. If at all there's a problem, how to do the basic first aid. And these are things to unite the India and not to panic. It's not about panicking, but to unite the India and know if there is an eventuality, if push comes to shove, what are the basic defenses we need to put in place collectively as a nation. So as per every district, the district administration the DM has been given the charge to conduct these drills. He might use the local police. Like yesterday, the UP police DGP Prashant Kumar ji was saying that in UP 19 districts have been identified, and he along with the district administration is working and making sure that they kind of get people used to it. So basically we're practicing it. If push comes to shove, there's a situation like that, how to defend ourselves and how to be prepared for this kind
Okay,
of
so
a
let me, what I actually need on the telecast is my father, who's been through this in 71 when he was in college, Hindu college in Delhi. From what I recall from the stories that I've heard, is that the protocols, and we're talking about different era, different cars, different houses, much less lighting. India at night is now lit up across the board. We're talking about a time when we didn't even have enough electricity, you know, and let's face it. So at that point of time, if you haven't had a car, you would place a black cloth or a black paper over the top half of the headlight, okay, to angle the headlight downwards. You would be blacking out your windows. You would not have any outside light. All outside lights would be shut off. And as I mentioned earlier, you would get an air raid siren, which would be a long piercing siren, okay. For people who live in Delhi, you can identify it because a lot of time during Eid, when the call to rise happens at about 3:34 in the morning, right before sunrise, you have these sirens that play out. They're very similar. They're used in factories these days. I mean, their use for air raid has diminished over the years, which is a good thing. So it sounds like a factory siren, just continues. That's the air raid siren. And if it starts pulsing and beeping, coming and going, then it's an all clear siren. Okay. Now, civil defense, what civil defense is supposed to be doing or have done in previous wars is that they would be primarily responsible for creating trenches, doing nakabandi, putting out sandbags. Okay. Sandbags are used for two reasons. One is to protect buildings from any blast shrapnel, to protect windows from blast shrapnel. Civil defense used to be about digging trenches in parks nearby, so that the maximum damage that happens from a bomb is not the explosion, it's the shrapnel that flies from it. So if you are protected with a wall of sandbags, or if indeed you are underground and in a trench, you would be safer. Now, this is a different generation for which these items were designed. Before I come to Vicky, Sumit, now that's what I know. Okay, what civil defense and air raid sirens and blackout is supposed to be. We would need an SOP, a modern day updated SOP.
Yeah, definitely we'll need SOP. I think some of it has been released, Rishabh, yesterday, and by in a day or two we'll have a more SOP. This is broadly what I told you. This is broadly how it looks like. Basically camouflaging, blacking out, having those 2 days of essential supplies where you put everything in a bag so that push comes to shove, you know which bag to book. Lock your essentials somewhere which are safe for keeping and fire. Have those power banks. Keep your mobiles fully charged. Possibly some cash in your pocket, cash. These 2-3 bottles of water which you need, flashlight which you need, and basic medical kit which you need. This is what we are exactly supposed to do broadly, depending upon the place and the intensity, because the category is A, and then it is C, and it is D. So for A, the protocol might be slightly higher than what is in a typically C or D, depends upon what is your vicinity to the border and how kind of a target you are seeing. And answering your previous question, for us, we know our army, our air force can protect us. For Pakistan, Rishabhji, their air force and their army has failed them. That is why they are in utter mode of panic. That is why everything is shut in Pakistan. They never attacked and anticipated this kind of attack. And let me remind you, sir, yesterday there were pictures released of Asim Munir and Shahbaz Sharif, along with all the general and colonel in the head office of ISI. So they were giving us a message that ISI is working very, hard and fast with us, and we know everything what India is doing. And by the way, the head of ISI, Lieutenant General Asim, is also the new NSA of Pakistan. Amidst having those,
So sorry, just to interrupt you. So just I'm getting our colleagues on the ground who are reporting from the ground to give you a better estimate of what these mock drills are. It'll be useful if we can get somebody from the territorial army or somebody who's been in the armed forces to join us. Now, civil defense is different, territorial army is different. Okay, let me just draw the distinctions for you. Okay, there is the normal army. The normal army performs the job in which, if required, they can be deployed outside of India's borders. The territorial army, if they are required, not when they are required, if they are required. The territorial army, by definition, can only operate within India's borders. It's a volunteer force that is over and above those people serving in the regular army. Then, of course, you have the paramilitary forces, and India's paramilitary forces, because of the nature of the borders that they have to oversee, are very well equipped and trained paramilitary forces. The BSF, the CRPF are very well maintained and trained, and then you have things like the Assam Rifles, which also qualify. So, they are very well maintained and very well trained, not equivalent to the army, but certainly in capacity. Maybe they do not have the heavy arms, but in training and capacity in terms of infantry, you can call them exceptionally well trained. Then there is civil defense volunteers. That is a completely different category, and I have explained to you civil defense volunteers generally meant nakabandi, which is putting checkposts, digging trenches, filling sandbags. Okay. Now, I do not want to panic anyone. So, we have a fine line. We want to make people aware, just like an airplane safety briefing. You want to listen to it carefully, understand it, give it heed without panicking that the airplane is going to crash. So, obviously, we are not going to be digging trenches in our front lawns in our parks tomorrow morning, okay? But some information you need to know, that in case push comes to shove, what is the safest place in your house? Generally, is under the stairwell, okay, where you can go, etc., etc. So, I am going to get my reporters to explain this to you. We do not have exact SOPs on this yet. So, this is a tentative exercise that is going on. So, let me ask it from a different front to a different question. Vicky, let me get you back in, because I am trying to understand how the markets are responding to this. It's absolutely fascinating. The Sensex went down 200 points, which is about 0.3%. Then it went up 200 points, which is a 0.3%, and currently it is trading at 0.01% higher, as flat wait and watch as you could possibly be in a stock market. I mean, it's literally nothing happened. Now, that's really, really interesting. How would you judge this?
Honestly, I'm not an expert on stock markets, but how I judge it, in my limited knowledge is there is a sort of a positive atmosphere. This when Pahalgam attack happened, the whole nation's morale, everything was down. So now with an attack of this magnitude, everything is looking positive around. So I think it is that positivity which is showing. But in the meantime, you just check Pakistan stock market, that has crashed. So, that itself tells a big story, exact two opposites on each side. Now, they have gone into this defensive mode and their usual mode of, denying everything and then, putting out fake news. It was like, it was obscene since morning. But yet, the markets tell a story of how positive the mood of a nation is, basically. And usually what happens is, if there is some aggression on the side, our markets collapse, people are scared to invest and things like that. But this strong firepower which we've shown, the precision with the attacks have been, when the strike has been carried out, I think it has given a certain amount of positivity in the minds of the people. That's how I see it.
Okay, I'm finding it interesting. I'm not expert either, but I'm just finding it interesting because my gut reaction would tell me that the markets would be concerned about a prolonged conflict and would temporarily fall. Okay, they've not. Okay. In fact, we've seen some of the defense sector stocks go up by a couple of percentage, not a lot, but a couple of percentage points. Somebody is trying to hedge a bet here and there, because, ladies and gentlemen, India had something to lose from a prolonged conflict. We don't want a prolonged conflict, but at the same time, what good is everything if you are sitting with your husband on a picnic and get shot? So, what good is the car you bought? What good is the vacation you can plan to take, or what jewelry you can buy, or how much your mutual funds have gone up? What good are these things if you can just be killed while having a picnic with your family. So, the people who are dead, let's not kid ourselves. If we can't secure ourselves, our country and our people, all of this becomes meaningless. Okay? So, these are important things, and I would rather be spending my time discussing on those things: GDP, semiconductors, AI, 3D printing, space. I mean, Sumit has spent several hundreds of hours discussing these things with me. We are just citizens of this country who feel passionately about these things and can think and apply our minds on them like common citizens. We are not experts in these fields, any of them. But here we are discussing what I wish it's very interesting from a layman's perspective, what the munitions we have just described to you are, but I wish I wasn't discussing them. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what, let's just absorb whatever news is coming our way. This has been flashing on the bottom of your screens for several minutes. Let me just reflect it to underline it for you. The Prime Minister, PM Narendra Modi, was supposed to depart, if I am not mistaken, on the 13th or the 14th on a 3-nation European tour. He was going to attend the Nordic Summit in Oslo. In fact, I had my colleague at the airport, Nordic Summit in Oslo. He was also invited to Moscow for May 9th. Then he was not going. Then Rajnath Singh was going. Then Rajnath Singh was also not going. I, however, had my colleague at the airport ready to leave for Moscow. Her flight was at 1:45. And then she was going to go to Oslo from that, and those flights have been cancelled. So, she is heading back to studio here because the PM will not be going on this 3-nation tour. It will happen at some point of time, but he will definitely be skipping the Nordic Summit as we speak. So, that is what is going on here. We know that Sweden has now issued an advisory for travel to and over Pakistan. High alert has been sounded at all major airports in this country, but other than those I mentioned several times in the northwest of India, the airports are still open and operational. And other than the diversion of flights to places like Amritsar and Chandigarh, flights are operating as normal. There is a little bit of issues regarding this at airports, but I won't say that the airports in India are in a state of shock. So, there is no particular state of panic. Now, we don't know what happens through the course of the day, and let me then jump into the two gentlemen with that before I take a very short break, because if I have even forgotten when I sat down, I must have been at 2:30 in the morning, and we are heading into 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. So, before I take a break, Sumit, let's in all seriousness. So, the Pakistanis were expecting something, but in the end were still caught by surprise. Okay? We have taken out the 9 camps. Now, that has already happened. Their immediate gut reaction was threefold. Number 1, scramble the entire Pakistani Air Force. Number 2, start artillery shelling, andhadhun firing they call it, on the LOC. And number 3, start spinning stories and calling up foreign capitals. Okay, that we have done this, we have done that. I mean, the Pakistanis, in the middle of the night, their ministers were giving interviews to international channels, claiming they have shot down Indian aircraft. Okay. I mean, middle of the night, I mean, it would have been again Pakistan half an hour behind us, would have been 3, 4 in the morning that they were giving these interviews. So, their priority is international opinion, okay, artillery shells, and the Pakistani Air Force floating about. So, that was their gut reaction. Now, the gut reaction, the Freudian, the spinal cord reaction is finished. Now, they will have to think about what to do. What do you think they will do, Sumit?
Rishabh ji, as per ISPR, the press briefing which is out, that they are going to retaliate at a time and place of their choosing. But if I look at the situation they are in, they have to swallow this pride and live with it, because if they retaliate back, there is no terror infrastructure in India. There's not even an inch of it. So either they retaliate on military infrastructure or civilian infrastructure. If they do that colossal mistake, we are going to go and get rid of Pakistan this time, because the mood of the nation and the go ahead from the Prime Minister is consequential damages. So if they want to save their country, save their honor and izzat bachani hai, swallow the pride, live with it, do all the PR tamasha which you can do. But at the end of the day, and all these places which we have taken out, 9 out of 7 are those markazes. Markazes where it's like a university, where you have a few hundred of these terrorists and preachers which are preaching them and teaching them. So when that kind of a damage is done, we have done to avenge Pahalgam, You can live
Okay.
with it, or if you want to escalate it,
Okay.
then there'll be
Okay,
consequences.
Sumit, I was talking to a former army commander, okay, and he was mentioning to me that it is not unreasonable to pause it, okay, if you want to war game it out, and I'm assuming we've already war gamed it out, okay, we've decided there are always known unknowns, but it is possible to war game out that the Pakistanis could look to the Jhelum tributary dams, Chenab River dams, and try to designate them fair targets because of the Indus Water Treaty. So that is a possibility that could happen. Now, that those are not military structures as Sumit has described; those are civilian infrastructural structures. You can come up with whatever explanation, but those are civilian structures. If indeed Pakistan attempted something like this, I'm assuming we would have to respond, Sumit. We can't ignore it then.
You know, as per Khwaja Asif, he has declared, and their ambassador to Russia, he has declared that all these dams and tributaries and wherever, whatever we do to hold the water, to divert the water, becomes a legitimate target. Khwaja Asif threatened us that he will come and bomb them, but they are civilian infrastructure. If they decide to do it, our answer will be in a military way. For Pakistan, if they still want to live, survive, they have to stop here. If they decide anything beyond that, which United States of America also warned them, don't even think of retaliation, then possibly the message is very clear. We cannot be able to stop Bharat, and then the hell will break loose. That will be the end of Pakistan.
Okay.
You lost Bangladesh in 71. If you want to break up in 4 countries, this is the time, place, and Morat. Decide what you want.
No, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It is going to happen, but it's going to happen Soviet Union style. It's going to happen internally, collapse from within, and suddenly overnight some wall will fall, okay, somewhere, and something that existed will have ceased to exist, okay. But let me get Vicky in before I'm going to take a really short break, before I literally collapse on my chair. Vicky, let me just address this point with you because it merits addressal. I am sure, let's examine this for a second. I am sure that India has made it very clear to number one, the Americans, number two, potentially the Saudis, number three, the Emiratis, at least these three, that if Pakistan tries something after we have conducted in our words, we've written the words non-escalatory strike, that all hell will break loose, and I'm sure that Marco Rubio and others will be communicating the same.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, non-escalatory strike. That is the